Everyday consumers are being bombarded with the next big thing in health, wellness, and fitness. What's the future of keeping ourselves healthy, and what's just a passing fad? Hi, I'm Joey Thurman, and if you don't know me, I'm a health and fitness expert and author. I've been fortunate enough to work with celebrities, athletes, C-suite executives, and everyone in between. I've been featured on the Today Show, Live with Kelly and Ryan, Good Morning America, TEDx, and lots of other publications. As part of my ever-increasing thirst for knowledge, which ironically happened after college, I decided to create the Fad or Future podcast. What sets this podcast apart is that I am the guinea pig for these episodes. I don't only want to bring in world-class experts on the show, I want to truly get a first-hand experience what it's like to, say, go on ketamine and trip for my depression, go on a 3-day fast drinking nothing but coffee and water for age reversal, eat nothing but plants and get the blood work done to back it up, or even get my brain mapped to see how messed up my head is from getting knocked around playing hockey. Once I try these things, I bring on the experts to talk about my experience and explain it to the audience in a digestible manner and ask the true question. Is it a fad or is it the future? Because after all, we don't want to be fatties. What's going on? It's Joey Thurman. Here's another episode of the Fad or Future podcast. And I don't know where you've been. If you've heard of obstacle course racing, the man to my right, Joey Sena, CEO, founder of Spartan. Thanks for coming on.
Don't be a fatty.
I just gave him a "Don't Be a Fatty" hoodie, FADDY, so I don't offend anybody. Now, you've been around for quite some time. Spartan is huge, and when you think of obstacle course racing, I mean that's the first name that comes to mind. I mean, what's your story, man? Why'd you start this?
Let's go way back.
Yeah.
So I grew up in Queens. If anybody saw the movie Goodfellas, I grew up in Ground Zero for Goodfellas. So all around us were the mob bosses and crazy people and crazy shit. And but you don't know it's crazy because you're growing up in it and it's just normal. And tapes playing in my head as I'm talking something. And I'm visualizing literally the neighborhood. And my mom somehow stumbles into a health food store in like 1972, 73. And there's incense burning. And there's like one health food store in all of like the whole East Coast at that point in time. Uh-huh. There was no Whole Foods or Yoga Journals or anything. And there happened to be like an old yogi that was in there that had just landed at Kennedy Airport and came into the health food store. Uh-huh. They probably recruited him. You know, it'd be like you going to a gym. Right? The famous Joey's coming to the gym, right?
Just sitting in the corner. There's some yogi.
Uh-huh. He's cross-legged, chanting, and she buys into it, hook, line, and sinker. Yeah. She literally trades in cannolis, sausage and pepper heroes, and the lifestyle we were all accustomed to for this new age, new thing, all in like a 2-hour period.
And that was 1972?
72, 73.
Wow.
So that was bumpy, right? Because if you're me or you're my sister or any of my friends, there's monks in the living room chanting now. We went from like organized crime, captains, bosses, Cadillacs, suits, rolls of money, talking about pizza, cement, to this crazy stuff. And this picture of the gurus on the wall with afros and Indian robes, and like you feel, it sounds silly saying it today, and I don't mean to upset anybody, but like you felt like embarrassed, right, as a kid. Like I can't bring my friends over for this craziness. Yeah. And she eventually moves to Ithaca, New York. She takes my sister and I because Ithaca was supposed to be a little more open-minded. Lots of hippies up there. Okay. Cornell University, Ithaca University professors. And so we moved to Ithaca, but I want to get back to the neighborhood. I don't want any part of this craziness, yoga shit.
You were not the yogi at the time?
I did not want anything to do with it. And in that journey, between the change and the move, there was a race being put on by one of her gurus in Queens. Mm-hmm. It still exists today. It's called the Transcendence Run. Okay. Many people nobody really knows about it. It's 3,100 miles. It's a 1-mile loop. You go around 60 days in a row, and you just prove to yourself that human beings are capable of anything. And so my sister and I see this thing, And, I don't even know at the time, but it makes an impression.
Yeah.
So anyway, fast forward, I'm fighting to get away from the incense. I want to get back to the neighborhood. I start a business. I'm friends with all the bosses. I'm eating meatballs again. Everything's back on track. And I make my way to Wall Street, which is another whole story. But I somehow land on Wall Street. I end up building a business on Wall Street, and I start to become a fatty. Right? I quickly determine that doing, and by the way, any salespeople out there listening, anybody that wants to be successful in business, listen to this. It's critical. I quickly determine, and you should know this if you're listening, that by doing more dinners and spending more time with my clients, I do more business. It's pretty fucking logical, right?
Put yourself in front of more people, more business.
Put yourself in front of more people, do more business. That's simple. And if you're not with them, well, somebody else is, right? And so, well, shit, I'll just do 3 dinners a night, right? I'll have them clean the table.
Mm-hmm.
The guy or the girl leaves that I'm trying to do business with, and somebody else comes in.
You stay at the same table?
Same table.
Yeah, why would you get up?
Yeah.
Efficiency.
Do it again. And do it again. Okay. And so if everybody else could do, 3 dinners a week because they want to get home to their family and they're lazy, I'll do, 15 a week, right?
And you're eating every
and
time.
I'm eating.
Too. That's impressive.
Because you got to eat.
Yeah.
Right? And I've always worked out a little bit here and there, and but traditional workouts. I'm still not buying into my mother's craziness. So I'm getting richer and I'm getting heavier, and the elevator is broken in our building one day, and so I'm taking the stairs because I love, like, I go through walls, over walls, under walls, right? That's my whole thing.
What floor are you on?
22nd.
Okay.
Right? So I'm on my way up the stairs, and there's a guy who looks like you, right? But he's bald, shaved his head, and he's ripped. Legitimately cover Men's Health.
Yeah.
Dude, and he's carrying 2 dumbbells, and I'm intrigued, right? And he's sweating. And so now we're going upstairs together, and I'm talking to him, being efficient. And he tells me this is how he trains. And I'm like, this is great. Meet me in the stairs in the morning. And so I start training with him in the stairs. We start working out. He was a trainer. He was a coach. Okay. But I was just I didn't even know. I should have known. It sounds silly, right? This is probably 1996, right? You shouldn't 95, 96. You should know that there's but at that time personal training wasn't a big thing.
Yeah, it was an infancy back then.
Infancy. But anyway, here's a guy and he's training. So I'm meeting him in the stairs and we're working out. And he starts talking to me about these things called adventure races. But I'm busy making money. I'm busy doing dinners, whatever. I never heard of an adventure race. And so he convinces me to go do one down in Texas. It's probably 1996. And I go down, and it's 1 hour of kayaking, 1 hour of biking, and 1 hour of running.
Wow.
And I'm like, this is fucking unbelievable. I feel like I'm back in the neighborhood, like because in the neighborhood I was physically working, I was feeling good, I was sweating, I was outside, and now I was inside. I was in front of a computer every day. Yeah, we were making money. The stress was tremendous. There was no outlet for that stress, and I fell in love with it. And I finished that race, and I did terribly, by the way. I didn't compete very well, but I felt good.
Yeah, you finished though.
I finished, of course. No, at all costs, I finished, right? Right. And so I said, "What's harder than this?" And he said, "Well, there's a 24-hour race." So I was like, "Sign me up! Because I gotta know. Can I handle? I gotta do this."
Right.
Well, you gotta be trained. You gotta have a proper team. Sign me the fuck up! I gotta do this 24-hour thing. And so I round up a team. I cobble together 2 friends, and we head out to Malibu, and we do this 24-hour thing. And it was even more epic. It was 24x, right? Like whatever, 7x. What I experienced in Texas. So I finished that. We get a DNF because my teammate decides to quit 18 hours into it. Me and the other guy did not stop.
Yeah.
I had not failure on my part. I had not anticipated that one of us might tap out. Didn't even think about that.
Why would that cross your mind?
No way that was going to happen. That was not an option.
That was your boy, right? You 3 were friends, and
like we might screw up. We might have a technical fail. I didn't even think. It was not even something on my mind. So and we were in the middle of a bike, and he just literally fell over. that was it. But anyway,
okay.
I finished and I saw that same friend, and I said, what's the next level? I got to do something. I hadn't even placed in either of those, but I just had to do something. Well, I mean, if you really want to do something hard, the Iditarod in Alaska you could do by foot. So I don't even know. I've never been to Alaska. I don't know what the Iditarod is. Sign me up. I got to do it. But it's good for me because the less I know, the better. That's just the way I am. I'm not one of these people. I don't want to know what the course looks like. I don't want to know any information about it. Right. Tell me what I need, and I'll just be there at the start line. Because why would I want to think about it? Yeah. I don't want to. Why would I pressure myself and be annoyed? And I don't want to know anything. Tell me what I need. So anyway, my friend, who is going to do this Iditarod thing with me, says, look, we should do a tune-up a month before. I found this event in northern Quebec, right? And I don't know, I've never been to Canada. And we'll just go out there. It'll be easy, but it'll show us, what we're in store for in Alaska. So we get to Quebec, and it's like 30 below zero. And we're in Charlevoix, which is beautiful. And we embark on like 6 days straight in the wilderness up there.
Wow.
And it was crazy. I mean, crazy. There was one point, I don't know if it's in Spartan Fit or Spartan Up, where we get to the top of a mountain. We had been hiking all night. I had been hallucinating the entire way up this mountain. The trees that you're passing are covered in snow. Mm-hmm. And every tree, I would see like somebody from my family. And then I started smelling McDonald's, and I was, there must be a McDonald's.
Were they the tree, or they were kind of standing next to the tree?
No, it was just heads of like, it was just, but not an hallucination where you're like, oh, I'm hallucinating. Right. Hallucination like, what the fuck are they doing out here, right? And why is there a McDonald's?
And there's that yogi dude just sitting over there.
And so, anyway, we finally get to the top of the mountain, and we're gonna rappel off this cliff. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I mean, a couple of 1,000 feet, right? And we were second place at this point, behind the first place team, which is unbelievable in and of itself. And the first place team, who had done hundreds of these races, was very proficient at all that stuff, is stranded halfway down the mountain on the side of a cliff, okay? The rope, because I have no experience at this point rappelling, certainly not rappelling, thousands of feet, the rope is only so long, so it gets anchored back into the mountain. Uh-huh. And when you get down to that anchor point, you detach and hook on to the rope next to it, although the rope wasn't attached. So for somebody like me, had I been the first one down that rope, I would have just went right off the end. Right, I would have been dead. But the folks that went down first were experienced enough that they felt the looseness. Okay. And they stopped, and they were stuck there. And so they held us now at the top of the mountain after my whole hallucinating trip up to the top, and said, hey, you guys are going to have to hang out, explain the situation. We're working on it, right? And so that, now I'm making it up. Now it's like 1 a.m, okay? It's cold. It's windy. It's 30 below Fahrenheit. It's cold, right? We don't have anything. We don't have, so we're trying to start a fire on top of the mountain to try to stay warm. And one of my gloves catch on fire.
That's probably not what you're going for.
You don't have extra equipment in an event like this. Anyway, I got a half-melted glove. Sun is rising. And we decide, you know what? We're not going to wait any longer. This is ridiculous. We've been up here 6 hours at this point. Rather than go down the route we came up, it looks like there might be a shortcut right over there. And so we head off the side of the mountain. And we start sliding in snowshoes down this mountain. That's probably a 60-degree pitch. Yeah. And we're sliding and sliding, getting over trees and under trees. And it gets really gnarly and really hairy. And I fall. The snow collapses like into a crevasse. And I grab on and I'm hanging from a branch. And my buddy, my teammate, has to come over, give me his snowshoe to climb out. I climb out. Now we become a little more particular about moving so fast.
Right.
And we're a little more delicate, and we're working our way down. And this goes on till about 1 in the afternoon. So you're talking about probably 6 hours, okay, down this shortcut, okay? We get down to the bottom, and it's going to be very hard for a viewer or a listener to understand this. But envision you get down to the bottom of this mountain, and then we turn and look over our shoulder, and what we see turns me pale, which is to the right and to the left is all rock faces. But the area we came down, which was like 30 yards wide of snow, but it's a little too far to the right, you're gone. A little too far to the left, but somehow...
And you guys had no idea.
Somehow we had no idea that we were in that little space the whole way down. And so ultimately we get to the finish line of this thing a couple days later, and that was supposed to be the layup, warm-up for the Iditarod in Alaska. But that started my whole journey. It started me revisiting my mother's pitch to do yoga and meditate and eat a vegan lifestyle. It cost me millions and millions of dollars on Wall Street because the dinners slowed down. I probably paid less attention than I should have to our employees.
Right.
But I ran around the world and just had an absolute blast doing races, which ultimately led to putting on our first event in 2000.
Wow. So, I mean, what was the catalyst? I mean, you did that race in Canada. You almost died. So, I mean, everybody that's run a Spartan, so thank you for not dying. That's a good thing.
That's right.
What was the catalyst? Like, I need to stop the corporate grind and start this competition. Was it for yourself? Was it for everybody else? You wanted them to experience what you experienced?
I didn't want to give up making money, but I really loved participating, doing it myself. It didn't start as a business. It started just selfishly. I just felt alive.
Yeah.
Like anytime I can get to a place where I wanted water, food, and shelter, that was a good place to be.
Right.
I love this saying: a lion is most handsome when it's hungry. Right. And so like I just wanted to be hungry. Yeah. I just liked it. But then on one of these long, crazy races, I think I was in a kayak for, I don't know, call it 24 hours in a kayak, right? Or canoe. I was in a canoe. And I said, I want to put on a race. I actually remember the moment. I want to put on an event. I think I could do it. Because I'm an entrepreneur at heart, and here I was enjoying this, and I want to put on a race.
Right.
And so I think that's where the germination started in my brain. And then I came back to the office. I'm remembering as I described this, the moments, and I pulled together a little team that was in the office working on finance stuff. And I said, hey, we're going to do this thing. We're going to call it Peak. I bought the URL peak.com for $1 million. Most idiotic thing I did, but it worked out later, which is another fun story. Mm-hmm. But so I bought peak.com. We were going to call it Peak. It was going to be like way before social networks. I mean, this was 2000. Yeah. We were going to pull together, maybe there were 50,000 people around the world that were crazy enough to do races like this, but they would be the ones that would inspire the kind of shoes you bought, the kind of clothing you wore. Right. And that was really the beginning of it, and it failed miserably.
So it failed miserably. Then when did Spartan itself as a brand take over? I mean, you spent $1 million on Peak. And then from there, when did Spartan itself start?
So from 2000 to 2010, under the name Peak, and mostly up in Vermont, although it started in the British Virgin Islands, but mostly up in Vermont, I put on these races. The Death Race, Snowshoe Race, a 500-mile ultra run, a crazy mountain bike race, and never got the big numbers. Yeah. Got 100 people, 200 people, 300 people. Race, we still put them on in Vermont. Really? They're like the founders' events. I on our farm. They're badass events. I never really I still haven't marketed them because I've been so busy with Spartan. Yeah. But this year we're gonna elevate them a little bit because I think it'll be fun for the Spartan, the world of Spartan community. Some people might want to come back to the farm, back to ground zero, and come try one of the events that started all this. Yeah. And And so for 10 years, I did that, put on these crazy races, lost money every year. And it was fine up until, 2007, because I was still making lots of money. I still had my leg in Wall Street, and I could burn that kind of money each year. It was a little irresponsible, but I was fine. I had money coming in.
Yeah.
And then the financial crisis hit, and 2009, I was like, this is really stupid. I just lost so much money in the markets. I can't keep burning money on this stupid hobby. It's ridiculous. Can't get people to do this anyway. I got to lie to them and tell them they're coming to the farm for a barbecue and then trick them into running an ultra. And so...
that's a nice surprise.
Yeah. And so against my better judgment, in 2010, at the time where I was pulling the plug on everything, I said, you know what? Maybe we'll change the format. I had some people whispering in my ear that maybe you need a military kind of format. You need barbed wire. And I thought it was ridiculous. Didn't really fit any of the disciplines I just described to you that I was used to. I was biking. I was kayaking. I wasn't crawling under barbed wire. This is stupid. But against my better judgment, I said I'll invest $50,000. It's all I'm going to invest, and we'll give it a shot. And $50,000 turned into like, I don't know, $8 million or some crazy number. But in 2010, we changed the name from Peak. We called it Spartan. My $50,000 just turned into a lot of money. And then in 2012, it started to take a turn for the better. 2012, it started to hockey stick.
Yeah.
But that was a time where people are coming back from war. A lot of stuff going on in the Middle East. CrossFit has taken off. Facebook has taken off.
Yeah.
So it was a confluence of a lot of things. I've got the greatest name in the world, Spartan. I mean,
yeah, my wife's Greek and Spartan. It definitely you hear it and you think warrior. I'm not quite sure any other word came besides just the obvious like warrior. But you think Spartan, you think somebody's going to kick the shit out of you and they're going to go into battle. So kudos to you on the name there. How much did you pay for Spartan website?
$10,000.
That's a bargain. Yeah, so I ran one of these, and that's the thing. I wanted to, and with this podcast, I try everything out ahead of time, and I was like, man, I'm 36 years old. I've got some back problems. I get my ass kicked playing hockey, but let me sign up for this Spartan. And I ran the elite in L.A. Castac Mountain or something, and of course, it was fucking raining the whole time in California, and it was up a mountain. And I was kind of like you. I didn't really know what to expect. I just knew that I needed to practice burpees a bunch and just run. So I started running, and I live in Chicago, so I ran 2.5 miles to work and back pretty much 3 to 5 days a week. And so I'm like, okay, I need to work on my endurance because I lift weight, pick up weight, put down weight. That's what I do. So that's how I trained for it. And then when it was cold or it was during holiday break, I would just run in the suburbs and go through trails. Like I didn't have buckets to grab. I couldn't do this shit. Like what am I gonna do in Chicago and a lot of foo-foo around there? So I couldn't do anything with that. But when I sign up for the race and I get there, my business partner Lauren comes out with me and like you got to jump over like a 7-foot wall before you start.
Right.
And so it's like, okay, we're like, what the hell's happening? We're gonna jump over this wall before the start line, and everybody's kind of lining up, and you just there's 110 guys I think that signed up for the elite race, and I'm in there. I'm like, I don't want to start right in the beginning because I don't want to gas out. But little did I know, the first quarter mile, you go in like waist deep, balls freezing cold water, and I jump in this, and there's like 50 people in front of me, and you can't swim through it, you're just kind of trekking through it, and then of course, like I said, it's raining, and then you get off, and there's like just a single lane of mud, so I couldn't pass these guys, so they're all like a quarter mile ahead of me. I ended up missing 5 obstacles. I couldn't grab them because my hands. You can't prepare for that shit.
150 burpees.
So I did 150 burpees, and one that like zigzag wall that I did. I got all the way to the end, and my foot slipped because it's full of mud, and I touched the ground, and the judge didn't see me, and I'm like, am I gonna be that asshole or not? And I'm like, hey, my foot touched, and he's like, you got to do the burpees, and I know for a fact there were some people that obviously went past that.
No, but you need to know. The burpee guys know.
I couldn't do it. I could not.
You wouldn't have felt good.
I wouldn't have felt good about it. And I started doing burpees, and I started before some people, and they came in, they got done. I'm going at a faster rate. I'm like, look at these assholes. They're like, you've got judges. We got 20 people doing burpees. So they can't be counting every single one of them. But I remember getting and passing people, and there were some women that passed me, and they started like 15 minutes afterwards. And I'm running up this part of the mountain, and some chick's just like, hey, how you doing? And she's just nonchalantly talking to me. I'm like, this fucking badass chick next to me. I'm like, how many have you done? This is my 11th. And she's like, well, this is the hardest one, I think. I was like, oh, great. She's just having a conversation with me. She probably beat me by 20 minutes. And I get to the finish line, and there's just like this overwhelming sense of accomplishment and camaraderie. Like, and everybody coming across the lines, high-fiving you. It doesn't matter if they finished 15 minutes behind you or 10 minutes ahead. It was just nice sense of completing something. And I got on the phone and FaceTime with my wife, and she's like, you need to do more of these. This is great. And as I don't know like what she was gonna think. I'm like, hey honey, I'm taking off of work. I'm gonna go run this thing, and you stay home and watch the toddler. Sure. But it was just this great experience. I mean, you've got this whole machine there. There's MTV was casting for stuff when they were there, and you've got all these sponsors.
You did this year. You did the recent one.
Yeah, I did it. Yeah, so I saw there was 110 guys that entered the elite category, and I think 85 finished. So I'm not sure what happened to those other guys.
Well, we have I still got guys from the neighborhood. They just bury the bodies.
Yeah, that's what I figured happened. Yeah, but yeah, man, it was a great experience, and my business partner already signed up for another one. And
whatever you need or your audience needs, just send me an email, joe@spartan.com. Hook you up, no problem.
I mean, yeah, it was cool. I mean, it was a great experience, and it's one of those things when you compete against somebody normally, especially as a kid, like your high school, college, they're supposed to be enemies. But these guys that kick the crap out of me or vice versa.
Camaraderie and competition at the same time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, so what sets you guys apart from all these Tough Mudders and all this other stuff? I mean, because when you type in obstacle course racing or adventure, you guys pop up number one, and it seems like you have taken that slot as number one. So what makes you guys the future of obstacle course or adventure racing versus somebody else?
Very early on, I just said this has got to be a sport. I'm going to be involved in it. It's going to be a sport. We're going to time you. We're going to rank you. We're going to have officiating. We're going to hold you accountable. That's really the difference.
Yeah.
And that's a hard thing to sell. If I was selling cotton candy and cookies, it's an easier thing to sell. But I'm selling discipline and hard work and commitment. I mean, you think about what you just described. That's a hard thing to sell.
Yeah, it was tough.
But it's powerful.
Yeah.
Powerful.
And you really can't, because I had no idea what to expect. I don't even think I've done a 5K in my entire life. I'm like, well, I'm going to go run around a loop in the city and finish a 5K. I don't want to do that shit. Let me put on some skates. Let me knock some people over. So I couldn't do that now. I can't. I mean, hell, I remember getting in a fight in men's league hockey, and I broke a guy's nose, and there was one person in the stands. It was my wife. And she texted me afterwards. She's like, what the hell? And I'm like, I wasn't trying to fight, but this guy started swinging on me. And then I get kicked out for multiple games. You're not supposed to fight in men's league, but I wanted that competitive aspect. So that definitely got it. And it's just you've got all these different age groups, and there's Spartan kids, and that's really cool. So I can see my getting my son involved in that too.
How old is your son?
He'll be 2 end of February.
He's ready.
So he's ready to go?
He's ready to go. At 2, I mean, come on. He should already be doing burpees.
I mean, he should. He's the average size of a 3-year-old at not even 2.
Perfect.
He's huge.
Yeah,
he's a giant. I don't even have him on anything.
Your wife's Greek. He could be Spartan.
Yeah, I mean, he could be. Well, it's funny. We were in Greece a few years ago, and we had to drive through Sparta. And,
nice.
And then her parents are just telling me about the lineage and everything around there. So it was really interesting seeing that. You guys run a race in Sparta too?
We run a race. I actually bought some land in Sparta. We live So you got to come. You got to get your wife. You got to come back to Sparta.
Yeah,
that's something you should definitely do, especially since she's Greek.
Yeah, we usually go every summer. Her parents have a place close to Corinth, so.
Yeah.
November?
Okay. Sparta.
Sparta! What was he going to say? Aru!
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, and even that, even the guy that's starting everything and then high-fiving, it was really cool to see. You've traveled all over the world. What advice would you give for people that are struggling right now? Because I guess you said you...
struggling with fitness?
I think struggling with fitness and struggling in life, because you have lots of, if anybody goes to your Instagram account, you've got a lot of advice to people, and not just people that are following Spartan.
Yeah. I would say the biggest thing people struggle with is motivation. Mm-hmm. And that affects every aspect of your life. And so motivation is not something that you just snap your fingers and you get, lightning bolt doesn't hit you every day.
Right.
You struggle with it, I struggle, we all struggle with it.
Right.
But what I do is I gain momentum, right? I start in the morning with a little workout, and then it leads to a cold shower, and then it leads to heading to work. And you just start to stack on top these little accomplishments that start early in the morning. And then from that, you feel this momentum, and before you know it, you become motivated.
Yeah.
So don't sit around or lay in bed and expect that, you're going to get this doorbell to ring. Somebody's going to show up and be your coach or motivate. No, you just start with little things, little accomplishments, and then they build on each other, and you just keep moving forward from there.
So is your workout every single day? Is it, you've got these 23 exercises that you do, which I actually did. I need to work on my handstand push-ups, by the way. That internal rotation on this messed up shoulder wasn't good. But, is your workout just that, or are you running races yourself?
I do races. I don't compete in them. I'll usually carry something heavy, typically a kettlebell or a sandbag or something. But I try to do a bunch of our races because I got to get out there anyway and make sure our product is consistent and shake hands with all the customers. And then I'll go do a 50-mile run here and there or something big just to keep me motivated, because we all need that. We need something on the calendar that's gonna keep us aligned.
So
my exercise, those 23, they're religious.
Yeah. I did all 23. Most of them I was good at. There was a weird stretching one that was, I don't know, who'd you
The
get?
bridge?
Yeah, that was better than the one you got from Conor McGregor.
That's tough. Isn't that tough?
That was, I was like, I can do this because I'm freakishly flexible for a 6'3" dude. But that one was a little tough. Check out Joe's Instagram. It was a real Joe Sena. That was pretty interesting to do. And I tell you what, I only did like 5 reps of each because I just wanted to see if I could do it. But it really did get the blood flowing. And so you do that every single morning. What do you eat? Are you vegan?
I try to eat mostly plant-based.
Okay.
I just the other day, Sunday, my son, and he's mostly plant-based, my older son, and we were at Whole Foods, and he's like, I want to get a steak. And so, I believe that the mind, the body is connected, and if there's a reason why he's asking for it, maybe he's low in something and he wants it. So, and I said, go get one. And he bought 2. And I didn't really want it, but because my son and I have never, so I ate some steak with him. But by and large, I am vegan.
Okay.
Plant-based. And it's because that was something my mom was pushing. And then I became friends with a guy named Colin Campbell, Dr. Colin Campbell out of Cornell, who wrote a book called The China Study.
Okay, yeah,
and
familiar.
And so I'm a believer in that science. That if you want to be the biggest guy in the cemetery, you probably should eat a lot of protein. This is the thesis: a lot of protein, a lot of animal protein. But if you want to live long, if you want to outlive your competition, it's plant-based lifestyle.
Living longer is probably a good thing. Where do you see the future of fitness heading, and as well as Spartan?
I think you're going to see. There's 50,000 events now around the world, from 10Ks, turkey trots, bike races, etc. And I think we're going to live in a world where there are lots of events and all kinds, and they're probably got to be like Spartan in the sense that they're fun. They're grueling, but they're fun.
Right.
Not boring.
Yeah.
Running a marathon's kind of boring.
Yeah. No, thank you.
And the reason I think fitness and our world needs it is like what I said before. It's hard for human beings, for most of us. You might be able to do this. I can do this. I don't necessarily need an event on the calendar. Mm-hmm. I like when there's an event on the calendar because it takes my game up. You described it. You said you started running to work. You started running home. You wouldn't have done that if you didn't have Spartan on the calendar.
Nope.
Right?
No way. I'm getting in my car and I'm parking right in front of the gym.
Exactly. So I think we need the future of fitness needs events on the calendar, whatever kind of events they are that inspire folks. Plus, with everybody looking down at their phones and their computers, they're not even communicating with people anymore. Right. What you saw at Spartan, you tell me if I'm wrong, people communicate with each other.
Yeah,
There's no foams.
Yeah. No, I tell you what, it's funny because I had this waterproof fanny pack, which is not waterproof, by the way. And then I wrapped my phone in I don't know, it's like a baggie or something because I wanted to get out and like take pictures and call my wife. And because I didn't know, you have a bag check too, but I didn't know at the time because I didn't look anything up. And then my phone was okay, but then I pulled it out afterwards and I was taking pictures and talking to people. But like every single person, after the finish line, even from the sponsors that are probably paying a good amount of money to be right at the end of the finish line, they were even excited to see people finish. And like I said, I finished 35th, but the guy that finished 85th, they were still excited for. So it was really good to see.
It's a very amazing community, and people get to connect with one another.
Yeah, it was cool. Now, if you go back to 1972. And your mom walking in that shop and bringing the yogi in, what would you tell yourself now?
What would I tell myself? I tell myself, listen to mom, because I could have avoided all that eggplant parmesan, all that stuff I did in the wrong direction. She had it right all along. By the way, think about all the money I could have made too. I could have been selling incense back in the 70s, and anything that's like I could have been the one publishing Yoga Journal right now.
Yeah. You'd just be standing on your head,
exactly.
Making money. You'd be all set. Bikram who?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, man. Well, any other life advice you have for anyone listening here?
Check out, if you can, give us a little plug here.
Yep.
DECA is a new event we're launching. We're launching in Denver. Love to have you out there. January 31st in Denver. We're going to do a big dinner. It'll be basically a bunch of influencers, people like yourself, generals from the Air Force, and folks all coming together. This is an indoor event. It's a brand new brand for Spartan.
Okay.
There are 10 stations. It's based on the Greek word, and decathlon, DECA, D-E-K-A, and you run 500 meters indoors. We got a 100,000 square foot facility. We rent it for 2 days. 500 meters, station 1. 500 meters, station 2. 500 meters, station 3. So it'll kick your ass. Be in and out of there in an hour. You're not going to be getting the same experience you got at Spartan because you're in the cold water. You're dying out there. It was raining. You're not going to get any of that, but it'll kick your ass. So,
sounds crazy.
It's going to appeal to a lot of gym rats.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
Our goal is to change 100 million lives. So I'm going to come to where you are. You don't have to come to where I am.
Okay. How many lives have you changed so far?
I got 7 down. We got 93 to go. But I just got a note from God, and he said I got a free pass to heaven.
Wow, good for man. God doesn't. God, he hasn't spoken to me in a while. What the hell?
Once you change 7 million lives, you're automatically in.
So where can people find you?
Email joe@spartan.com, spartan.com. We got Spartan Up Podcast. Real Joe Sena is Instagram. I don't know. You'll find me somewhere.
Okay.
If you find me in a booth
somewhere
doing
find you in a booth. Spartan Fit book. We have Spartan Up as well.
Spartan Up, Spartan Fit, Spartan. What's the latest?
Just type in Joe Spartan.
I got 3. What are you talking about? I got 3 books. I got my buddy here. You didn't even know I have a 3rd book. Spartan Up.
He's fired.
Spartan Fit and the Spartan Way. Yes. And now we got a 4th one coming about parenting.
Oh, there you go.
You didn't even know that was happening. And then I got a 5th one I'm already working on.
Look at see a New York Times bestseller right here, man.
That's right.
Joe, thanks for coming in. I'm Joey Thurman. This is another episode of the Fat or Future podcast. Don't be a fatty.
That's right.
F-A-D-D-Y. Be a part of the future. Thank you, my friend.
Yeah, you're man.
Appreciate it.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode. Make sure to follow on social at Fat or Future Podcast. You can follow me at Joey Thurman Fit. Don't Be a Fatty merchandise is available. Hoodies, hats, t-shirts, and beanies that can be found at fatorfuture.com. Every Thursday, we have a new episode, so make sure to keep it locked. Every Thursday, Fat or Future coming back at you.